Yellow. Salutations, the name's Cavill. Haven't heard from you in a hot minute. What's the problem? I need help. Something got into the grape zone. Some kind of bird, and it stole my favorite DVD. What do I do, man? I can't afford a cat. Seriously? Look, dude, don't call if you aren't ready to talk. Just put on a cat video or something. This one looks good.
20 minutes later.
God damn, look what YouTube is capable of at this point. Last month we met Lackadaisy, a pilot that accomplished its $300,000 goal in only 6 hours. Let it never be understood the financial superpower that is the furry community. The show is about 3 co-workers. Rocky's a bit of a schemer, but he's mostly just chaotic. Freckles is more cowardly, and Ivy isn't given any personality traits, which I guess is my first problem. For some reason, the characters don't get much interplay. Nearly 4 minutes are spent with Rocky's really generic poetry while they never even state Ivy's name. The 3 just don't really talk to each other for some reason, and that leaves their personalities with very few moments to shine. People like to compare this to Hell of a Boss, but that show's pilot was very low-key and took a lot of time to establish the characters. The actual premise, though, is a bombshell. It follows a gang of alcohol smugglers during the Prohibition. The main focus seems to be the aesthetic, as the attention to detail is astounding. So many little details, like the people speaking French, the recoil of their primitive firearms, or the breaking down of their primitive automobiles. It's beautiful, which goes for the visuals in general. You can feel the passion oozing from the color palettes to the expressions, and it creates such amazing tension. That tension, however, is one-shot murdered by the comic reliefs. Rocky, Sarah, and Nico. Like, imagine Coraline if the characters were constantly spouting one-liners. The art, the slow pacing, the sound direction, it's so easy to get lost in the grim seriousness until Sarah says,
"Child, this a living kinds of stupid."
My favorite is Mordecai because he's the only character that adds to the tension rather than relieving it. The other characters aren't quite cracking jokes, they just aren't taking anything seriously, which tells the audience not to take anything seriously. And thank God they aren't cracking jokes because the humor in the show is just so stock.
And the car is fine.
I fixed it.
Also, you'll be happy to know my violin came through unscathed.
There aren't many jokes in general, which is a step in the right direction. They would have killed the mood. The jokes that are here, they're completely worthless. You've seen each of them in Fairly Odd Parents alone. They aren't annoying, they're just easy. My only exception is in the second half when they joke about the wine stains on Rocky's coat. Speaking of which, this episode's second half is boring as hell. I actually really like the slow pacing at first. It's atmospheric as a Disney short, but once they arrive at Little Daisy then start shooting the breeze, the pacing is a complete snore. I like the new characters fine, but there's no conflict, just exposition and an anticlimax. This will be a short review because honestly, I have little else to say about Lackadaisy. I don't know if it's intentionally style over substance, but it certainly ended up being that way. So good thing it has such a glorious style. Overall, I see this show as a good omen. Not for animation, but for the world in general. At the end of 2019, we got the movie Cats, which showcased not just the ugliest felines ever animated, but also how out of touch Hollywood has become. Immediately after that, Iran threatened war against the US, and things only got worse after that. In 2023, things are finally going back to normal and we get Lackadaisy, which showcases not just the prettiest felines ever animated, but also how in touch the indie scene has become. From now on, these 2 products are my benchmarks for the disaster years, which is the greatest honor I can bestow.
I've got a better one. 10 out of 10.
Give me back my Rio!